Hi guys, it's Marianne. I hope you're doing well. As you can see, I finally made it to Vanuatu. And yeah, it's been a long time. And I'm here with my friend Kat. I'd like to introduce her to you. We're gonna do a few videos together. You're gonna see her in a few things, but she's just real cool. A cool cat. Hi, Kat.
Hi, Marianne. Thank you for having me on the Joyous Living Frugal Chef. I'm really
Ah,
so excited to finally meet you. I've been stranded on Vanuatu, stranded in paradise for 2 years with your husband.
I know. You all know that Pete couldn't get home because of COVID, right? So
So,
tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about, what you did these 2 years on the island and all of that.
well, originally I came to Vanuatu because I came to finish writing my book. So I came for just 1 week. So I was writing a book called How to Get Over Betrayal in 12 Hours. When I was 40, my ex-husband cheated on me, and then I was completely devastated, and then I got over it overnight, and I was like, oh my god. Like, I thought
Superwoman.
I was like, my end of the world was happening, and then it was my 40th birthday, and then I thought, what's going to happen with the rest of my life? My husband of 15 years, 3 kids,
Yeah.
and then when I was woke up the next morning, well, I didn't sleep because you don't sleep when something like that happens. Well, I don't anyway. I had
I
all
don't
these
think I would
I
either,
had all these
frankly.
epiphanies, and I was like, I woke up and I was happy. I'm like, I'm gonna write a book, How to Get Over Betrayal in 12 Hours. So that's what originally I'd written this book, and I'd met a publisher that was gonna help me. He lived on Arak, which is
Which
a
is
little,
one of the islands here in Vanuatu. Yeah.
yeah. So I came for like a week to finish it off and self-publish, and then I met someone, and then COVID hit, and
And here you are.
yeah, so 1 week turned into like nearly 3 years.
Yeah, you're heading back next week, right?
I
In a
am.
few
I'm going
days.
back
Yeah.
to Canada, so I'm really looking forward to see my family.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Kat, amongst other things, was diagnosed with MS in her 20s, right?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
24 when I was first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Well, I had my first attack.
her first attack.
Mhm.
Well, uh, look at this woman. I mean, she is a yogi. You can't sit her down for 5 minutes. And I would really like you to tell them a little bit about that, Kat, because it's a really incredible story.
Well, look, people, I have had always high energy, but which is, but people see me now today, and where am now today, when I'm 50, 2 months time, it's very different to where I was in my 30s. For about 5 to 10 years, I was really, really sick. I couldn't see out of one eye, I could barely walk. I had 3 children under the age of 3 by the time I was 30, and when my youngest was born, I was an absolute disaster. I was severely depressed. I wanted to kill myself, and yeah, I just really hated my life. I lived in a little tiny town in Australia, and I thought, no, this is not going to be my life. I'm going to find a way, or I'm going to die trying. So I really took control of my own health. I got off. Well, I was on some injections at one point, but no, I took nutrition. I took control of what I could do, and I did alternative medicine with Western medicine, combined the two, and it's amazing. Even over the last 3 years of being here, what I can do, like I'm a yogi, so people say, "Oh, you should have good balance," but me standing on one leg was usually like me clutching onto a wall, standing on one leg. But now I'm like 5 seconds, So it's constantly. I really believe we have a choice every day. We can become weaker or we can become stronger. So every day I like think I want to be stronger than I was yesterday. So I do mess up a lot of times too. Sometimes I eat things I shouldn't eat and drink too much alcohol.
So you're actually a human being.
Yeah, apparently I am.
Yeah, you got diagnosed at 24, and then what did you do nutritionally to help yourself?
So yeah, I was diagnosed with MS at 24 until I'd be in a wheelchair by the time I was 50, and I didn't really no, sorry, by the time I was 40.
Yeah.
And I'm 50 next month. But yeah, so I really obviously didn't take kindly to that.
Can you imagine? Yeah, of course.
And I always was a marathon runner, and I was always fit and active. And then to be, to lose, and with MS, it's like the cruelest disease because it strikes people down in the prime of their life, usually when they're sort of in the early 20s, 30s, and it just takes off bits of you. So one day you wake up, you can't use your arm, you can't use a leg, you can't see. And, and every day, like little bits of you go, and the more years you have it, the worse your body gets. And it's a
Yeah.
progressive disease. So anyway, it actually comes back to like when I was young, when I was 6 years old, I used to get migraines, really horrible migraines. And over the course of 10 years of me having these migraines, my mom especially used to take me to different doctors. And one thing that was really clear was that food was a huge trigger, like the red food dye, shake and bake, instant migraine, Old El Paso seasoning, instant migraine, So I was really, from a young age, really tuned into the fact that food really did impact you. And another thing that really impacted me about food was my mother dying on my 12th birthday of colon cancer. And, knowing what we know, and of course at 37, I think it wasn't necessarily her diet. She was Czechoslovakian, and they typically don't have a great diet. But that also really made me aware that, food can heal you and food can kill you. And so when I was diagnosed, I really thought, well, they said there's nothing you can do. There's no cure for the disease. You take these injections, they work about 30% reduction in your disease, but at the end of the day, you're going to get as sick as you're going to get at the same time. And I'm like, well, what's the point of jabbing myself every day if I'm still going to be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 40? So I did a little bit of that, but it was quite literally a pain in the ass because these injections you'd have given and then your butt would swell up, and every second day you'd have to do it. Just as one would go down, you'd create another big well. Anyway, so I thought, well, what can I do about it? And I thought diet, even though a lot of doctors and even though I think they are changing now. I mean, going back 25 years ago, their thoughts were quite different. Doctors like, why would you be on such a strict diet when you can just eat whatever you want.
And then be paralyzed at 40. What's the big deal, Kat?
It's not going to help. They said it's not going to help. So I'm like, well, that's what you think, but I'm going to try it anyway.
Right.
And it really did help me for a long time. But, life and having children, I was told not to have any kids, and I accidentally had 3 in 3 years.
Accidentally in 3 years.
Whoops. And I was told, don't breastfeed them, go straight on your medication. And like, yeah, no. And look, that's how important nutrition was to me. I'm like, no, and not that everyone can do it, but that's how I felt about it. So anyway, after my third child was born was when I really started going downhill, and diet and exercise was so important. But those things that really kept me going were the things that I let fall away from my life when I got to my worst. Yeah. I just got so depressed. I just started eating whatever and drinking too much, and it was just like I was just trying to escape reality with my life of what I was going through.
That's a pretty hefty thing to have to deal with, right? There's no cure.
Yeah,
tough life, right?
Yeah, and I was really sick. I couldn't see. I had 3 kids under 3, and I had 2 boys. That one was called Search, the other one was called Destroy, and they were wild. And my daughter was born. I couldn't take them out because I couldn't run after them. They'd run into the street, and I was really incapable of chasing them down. But so then I got to the point where I was either I'm going to kill myself, like it's suicide, or study Buddhism. And I remember calling the helpline once, and suicide helpline. I thought, that is not me. I cannot believe I'm doing this. But that's the point where I got to. Yeah. And after calling them, they're like, they put me on antidepressants, and I took 1 pill. And after that one day of me sitting catatonic on the couch, not moving, I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not. I don't have a brain imbalance, chemical imbalance. What I need to do is see my life differently. And then when I started studying Buddhism, sort of around the same time, I learned that perception's everything, perception of reality. And that was one of the steps. But how I got over Betrayal in 12 hours is like change my perception on life and what things mean.
No, it's true. I mean, we do have choices, right? And I mean, it's hard to do what you did. It's not an easy thing. It leads to fool.
I think what it takes is making up your mind that you're not willing to stay where you are. Right. Like you're not willing, and having kids too and having family. I didn't actually want to do it for myself. For me, I didn't really care. But suicide to me was, even though I contemplated it, I thought I could never do that to my kids. I'd feel horrible. So I thought, no, I need to not do it for me. I don't care about me, but I care about them, and I want to be a strong person. I don't want them to have to look after me getting into their, I don't want them to have a mother that they have to babysit when they're children themselves. And there's plenty of times they had to pick me up off the ground. I'm like, you're 2 years
Wow.
old and you're lifting me up,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was really heartbreaking. And then I just really was determined. I did so many crazy things. I had stem cell transplants in Israel and Greece, and I had a lot of experimental surgeries of different things, different ideas, CCSVI. I did different drugs. I did everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you got it, I'm trying it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just was my human guinea pig.
And then you also, but modified your diet very strictly, right?
Yeah, I had a special diet for 7 years that they figured out that MS was really prevalent in certain communities or certain parts of the globe where it wasn't in others. So it does depend on where you were actually born, how close to the equator, but also depended on, did you have a fish diet or did the people there have like more of a dairy-based diet? And the people that sort of had more of a high dairy diet seemed to have a lot more MS, like a lot more prevalent in those areas. So it was and saturated fats. So the diet was no saturated fats, no animal fats, and just vegetables and
Fruit?
basically,
Did you
and
eat fruit?
small fruit.
A
Yeah,
little bit of fruit, yeah.
yeah. No wheat, no sugar,
And no
yeah,
dairy.
and no
Yeah.
dairy.
So,
Yeah.
like, non-negotiable. This is what you need
No,
to
and
do.
I
Yeah.
literally wouldn't even taste food. Like if I was making food for the kids, I wouldn't even put it in my mouth to taste it. I was just like,
See,
because
yeah, I'm telling you. It takes
well,
no, Kat, I mean, I don't know. I admire you. I really do. I think you're
well, I
very
always think act in the way that your future self would say, "Thank you for eating that today."
yeah.
Because my today's self are like, just eat whatever you want. And I'll just lie in bed and relax. But my future self is like, should have gotten out, gone for that walk, and eaten better. Because today's self's not too happy about that.
Yeah.
Because my bones are aching, and so it is worth it.
You said something to me yesterday. I was like, sure, I want that piece of chocolate, but sure, I also want to be able to walk. So, that
And that's what
just,
was
my choice was easy. So she
a lot
said,
of people, because I have taught nutrition for over 20 years. I mean, I've always been in health and fitness and nutrition. And a lot of people used to say to me, when I was on such a strict diet, and people thought I was a pain in the ass. But I mean, I was someone that would say, they say, oh, you don't eat this and that. I'm like, I will always bring my food. I will bring extra. I don't expect anyone to cater to me,
right,
but I'm not, it's literally like, if you have a peanut allergy, are you going to eat peanuts
right,
and die?
right.
Like to me, I had to look at it like I actually can eat all this food. I have such an abundance of food I can eat. I'm not going to worry about that stuff I can't eat. I don't go around going, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, because then I just have this
Yeah,
whole life of
of
going,
course.
I can't have this and I can't have that. So it was just kind of like going, I can have all of this food and just be really happy and content with those foods.
All right. Well, this book that Kat wrote, she was kind enough to share with me. I read it. I love it. And she tells us all her journey. Kat's been around lots of countries, and it's her story and how she got over it. But when is that publishing?
Soon, but the book is not called How to Get Over Betrayal in
Yeah,
12 Hours,
exactly.
but I do have like a how-to manual, but my memoir, so there is two books, How to Get Over Betrayal in 12 Hours, which is like a short free memoir, which I have free how-to book. But my memoir is called Never Let a Good Disaster Go to Waste.
Right, right. Yeah. But so how's that going?
Yeah, so it should be published in the next month. Fingers crossed. So probably September, October.
Okay. So, I'm going to attach Kat's Facebook link at the bottom here in the description box. And so that you guys can, if you're interested, it's a very, very good read.
Thank you,
Kat, so much.
Absolute pleasure.
It's been so fun, hasn't it?
And I look forward, honestly, I have been in a very, challenging places in my life, and I know what it feels like to be angry and betrayed and, sick and, depressed. And the book I've written is to basically help everyone become a master of their disasters. So that's why it's called Never Let a Good Disaster Go to Waste.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye.